How to do a lease or rent contract. How do you put together a contract to enter into a lease so your tenant can be the winning bid when you present the offer? In this video, I'm going to show you just how to do that. Before we get started, remember, in the description of this video, click on the link that's going to help you to build your business. Give this video a thumbs up, and remember, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe. So, how do you put together a contract to enter into a lease? How do you get your tenant that property? There's an art to it, and there is a winning technique that I'm going to show you just how to do that. Now, I've taken the time to create a video that's going to walk you through the steps on how to prepare a contract to enter into a lease. So I want you to take a moment and just watch this video and look at each line. Just recognize how I put things together. But remember, this is in the South Florida market. So this might not work for you when you look at the forms. It might be something different. Just use what applies. Just remember, be professional and look at how I put things together. Watch this video and then I'll see you real soon. Take a look.
Okay, so we are now working on a contract to enter into a lease. You've gone out and showed your tenant or potential tenant several properties, and now they're getting ready to make an offer. How do you get that offer going? You typically have instructions given to you by the listing agent. Usually in our marketplace in South Florida, you provide a contract to enter into a lease. This is how you initiate it. So you draft up a contract to enter into a lease, and you typically provide them this document, signed and completed, with a copy of the deposit that was made, along with anything else that they ask for, credit check, application, whatever it is that's normal in your marketplace. But here's how you complete the application for contract to enter into a lease. So this is how you complete it. So part one, you've got John Doe, that's the landlord's name. Jane Doe is a tenant, your tenant. And then this is asking right here that these two parties are going to enter into a lease no later than a time. You give a time. So you're preparing this to present to the landlord, and you're saying, hey, landlord, should you sign off on this today, which is the 1st of January, we have until the 7th of January, 7 days or 10 days or usually within 3 days to 7 days, because the tenant will need a lease signed by the landlord to go and apply to the Association for Screening, to apply for anything that's needed. So within 3 to 7 days, you should put in here that they would get a lease put together by the landlord. I checked the box here. The landlord will prepare the lease. Next, this particular scenario is saying that there is a $2,500 per month deposit that's being put up. And the deposit is typically the first month's rent. And it's usually made payable to your brokerage firm if your firm holds the escrow, or go as directed. Some brokerage firm, they do not hold escrow. So you have to check with your broker to make sure who to make the check payable to, if it's internal or external. Next thing is the property, number 3. So it's 123 Selmore Street, which is what you want to do, Selmore, in the city, state, and zip code that you're representing the property. Usually the property is unfurnished. However, it could also be furnished, but one or the other. Check the box that apply. Then the tenant will occupy the property as residential with the following people. If there's more people there, write their names here. They want to know who else will occupy the property. Then if anyone is over 18 years of age and older, they typically would want that person to get screened as well, so be advised. Number 4 is the lease term. When will it begin and when will it end? Notice here that it will begin on January the 7th, 2021, and it will end a day before the anniversary. That's normal. If you had, for example, January the 1st, 2021, guess what? It's going to end December 31st, 2021, one day before. Isn't it interesting? But remember that all the monies needed before occupancy go in this block. So the tenant is going to offer the landlord first month, last month, and a security deposit. As you plug that number in here, it automatically populates there. So it's $7,500 that's going to take them to get the keys. They're going to pay the $2,500 on signing this contract, enter into a lease because they give it to you as a deposit. And then on at move in, after they go through all the screening and all of that, if there's one, they will put the last month's rent and the security deposit. It all depends on what's applicable on your deal. If there's a security deposit required by the association, the tenant usually will pay that. Sometimes the landlord pay it, but they charge for it just to put it aside. But it's typically done by the tenant. And if you write it in here, it's going to automatically populate up here. If there's a pet deposit, typically $250 a pet, $300 a pet in our marketplace, you put that there. If there's any other, you put it, and you put it when it's going to be paid. At move in, 6 months after move in, what are the tenant and the landlord agreeing to? Then the deposit from paragraph 2 up above, which is right up here, this deposit right here, this deposit, it is being identified here as being the first month's rent. So you have to check that box. Don't leave it blank. You got to check it. What is the deposit going towards? First month rent, last month rent, security deposit, usually the first month rent because the broker has it and that's the commission. That's normally the first month rent, half of the first month's rent. The rents and taxes and charges for the whole 12 month, the term of the lease is 12 months. It's 12 months times $2,500, which is $30,000. So that's what's expected to be paid in the whole term of the lease by the tenant. You put that figure here. Just the rent payment times the number of months that the tenant's going to occupy the property. Then the monthly payments is due on the first of each month normally. If you leave it blank, it's going to reflect back to first of the month. If you put out the day, you can put out the day. And the amount is going to be $2,500. So that's what we're talking about here. Pets, prohibited. Smoking, prohibited or permitted, or, whatever it is, just put what applies. Then you'll go down. Obviously, you're going to have tenant initial each page. You know how documents work. Utilities the tenant will pay for utilities services during the lease term, connection charges, and deposits for activating existing utility connections to the property, except for whatever the terms are. Sometimes there could be water included. Sometimes some things are included. So you just put if the tenant is not going to have to pay for a particular utility and it's already included in the rent payment, you put that right here, whatever the terms say. And then the next thing is 10, maintenance. Landlord will be responsible for maintenance and repairs of the property, except, right, none. You know why you want to put none? Because you want them to be responsible for repairs and maintenance. If you leave this right here blank and they fill in that only a certain part up to $500, then the tenant is interested. They have to be responsible for any repairs up to $500. So very important that you put none when you send that over there. That's normal in our marketplace. Association approval, if it's required, then the tenant will usually pay that deposit or application fee. If it's $100, I put 500 here, but typically it's about $100 to get that application going, usually. And that's usually a non-refundable application fee. And then you put a date when you're expecting that your tenant will be submitting their application and get their approval by the certain date so you can move in. So if you want to move in for 30 days from now or 15 days from now, give it some time to make sure you could get this contract to enter into a lease signed, which can then get you a lease signed. Then you can submit the application with all the documents and the screening. Usually they take about 2 weeks on a good note if you pay for a rush, to 30 days, which is normal. Additional terms, if there is anything additional, sometimes you could write in here that landlord, say landlord to paint prior to move-in, before move-in. Something like that, something that could apply. The landlord will remove blah, 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 something that's in the way, old car in the driveway before moving, whatever you may see. Those are the things that you have to pay attention to. Most important, service member, check whether or not your customer is a service member or not. Typically, that's a no for me, what I've seen. And then prospective, your information is here in the brokerage name. Just fill out what's applied, what's applicable, and then you would put the tenant would initial that. Prospective tenant will sign and date. Usually I don't put their address here, but you can fill it out. It's up to you. Telephone number, email, I usually don't do that, but it's up to you based on your municipality, what's going on in your marketplace, and you fill that out. And from there, you have it initial there, and that's it. Short and sweet. 2 pages. Contract to enter into a lease. You get this thing initialized. This is how you make your offer for a rental product or rental deal, so to speak. But you have to put this with proof of income, credit, application that talks about it. It all depends on what the listing agent is asking for. So go right ahead. Good luck and go and make your offer today. Good luck.
All right, so now you've seen how to write that contract to enter into a lease and what some of the vital things are and how do you put first, last security and whatever applies. You've just seen that. So what else goes with this contract to enter into a lease? What else should you put with it when you make the offer to make it stand out? You need to do the instructions that the listing agent says. You want to follow their instructions. Typically, you'll give them a call and you ask them, what are you looking for when I present my offer? Or they have it posted already inside of the MLS Broker's Remarks. They want you to send the credit, they want you to send the screening, the background, whatever it is, prepare it with the contract to enter into a lease and put it as a one package in one email. So you have the contract to enter into a lease. Now you get the background screening, criminal report, an application taken, the credit report, copy of the driver's license, copy of any kind of income documents, and then you put it all together in one email, in one presentation. Then you'll send it over to the listing agent, giving him a phone call and asking, have you received my offer package for my tenant, blase, blase? They received it, say wonderful. You let them know, please be rest assured, I am the best person you could work with because I promised you and the landlord a very smooth transaction. So I'm asking that if you have any questions, please let me know. I look forward to working with you. Even if you don't get a chance to say this out into that person's ears, I want you to text it with the same meaning from your heart, the same meaning of power. I want you to write it in an email with the same meaning, just as if you were talking to them, because that's important. So you package everything up and you send it off. Now, the next thing you can do, or you have to do, is follow up. How do you follow up? Put on your calendar after you've sent that and you've told them you sent it to follow up the next day. First thing in the morning. How's everything going? Good morning. How's everything going with the offer? Follow up. You're busy. You're dealing with so many clients that you forget to follow up on this one. That is why you use a follow-up system. What's my follow-up system? My calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. So put it on the calendar. You've reached out to the listing agent and they acknowledge getting your offer. Just write on your calendar. 2 hours, 5 hours, the next day. Call back, check on this offer. Write it down, and then do it, complete it. Once everyone has signed the deal, now you have the contract to enter into a lease and it's returned back to you. Congratulations, you got a deal. What do you do next? You wait to get the official lease, which is going to be written up by the landlord's side of the transaction. So they will prepare the lease most of the time and give it to your side of the transaction. You'll then review it with your client, your tenant, make sure they understand everything and they agree to everything, and they'll sign off on it, and then they'll move forward on to the walkthrough and final walkthrough and moving in. So that is how you put together a contract to enter into a lease. That is how you do a lease or rent contract in today's marketplace. But remember, inside of this channel, you'll find more videos that you could watch that's going to help you to build your business. That's going to help you to be successful and write more deals right now in this marketplace. So until next time, I'll see you real soon. What a pleasure it was to be with you on this one today. Let's go get them, Tiger.